Well, what is a woman? Apparently, it's a very difficult question for Australia to answer. And I really do mean Australia, because the UK knows, the US knows. Over the ditch in New Zealand, they're even doing better than us. I mean, just ask Anna Cody, Australia's Sex Discrimination Commissioner, who can't even define the first word in her title.
Lesbians, trans women, non-binary. There are a range of people who identify as women who are women.
Did you mean that biological males can be women?
Men. So I think that we have different language that perhaps you're using than I would use. So I don't understand the term biological men.
Yeah, riddle me this. We as taxpayers are funding a sex discrimination commissioner to the tune of $400,000 a year who doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman. Yes, this is the Australia we are living in. And it's all considered normal because we do not have laws that protect women, thanks to Julia Gillard, who amended the Sex Discrimination Act in 2013, removing the definitions of sex, man and woman. So basic biology is rendered useless in this country. And that is why it was so good to finally hear a politician willing to pull back the curtains on the horrors of gender ideology. Here was Liberal Senator Sarah Henderson in the Senate this week.
Frankly, too many people in positions of authority have jumped aboard the politicised and ideological trans train under the false pretences of compassion, tolerance, diversity and inclusion. The Victorian Premier, Jacinta Allan, is one such leader. Our Sex Discrimination Commissioner, which is meant to uphold sex-based rights, refuses to acknowledge biological sex. It's positively Orwellian, but we should not be surprised. The Sex Discrimination Commissioner is part of the Australian Human Rights Commission, which has now become an activist organisation.
And look, she's not wrong. How can the Sex Discrimination Commissioner claim to be an advocate for women when she doesn't even know what a woman is? And I commend Senator Henderson for speaking up. We need more politicians like this, willing to come out against entrenched gender ideology. When the Senate last tried to debate restoring biological definitions in the Act in August, the Minister for Women, Katie Gallagher, shut it down.
We do not agree with the Senate being a place where individual harm can be done to young people across this country, and that is what would have happened had we allowed this bill to proceed in the normal course, and we won't stand for it. Trans children deserve better from this chamber.
The Minister for Women labelled a bill to restore women's sex-based rights as harmful. Again, this is the Australia we are living in. Now, Senator Henderson was joined in Canberra this week by Giggle for Girls founder Sal Grover, who will join me later in the show, and even Greens co-founder Drew Hutton. Did we ever think we would see a day where a Greens member, or now former Greens member, is pushing for the protection of women's rights and safety? And I say former because Drew Hutton has been expelled from the party for wanting to protect the rights of women. Who would have thought the left are not so tolerant after all? But look, it points to something bigger. This is not a left versus right issue. Women's rights, the definition of a woman, it's mainstream. It's always been non-partisan, it impacts both sides of politics, and there are many on the left equally as worried about women's rights being erased. But thanks to warped gender ideology, which has been politicised, as Sarah Henderson pointed out, if you talk about it, you're labelled as some sort of bigot or far right-wing nutjob. Now, this should not be a controversial issue. I mean, it's only been controversial for 5 minutes because politicians like Jacinta Allan have made it controversial. The Victorian Premier doesn't seem to think there's an issue with a male prisoner who raped his own child being housed in a women's prison because they now identify as a woman. Politicians like the Minister for Women, Katie Gallagher, have made it controversial. The Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Anna Cody, has made it controversial. Now, perhaps these women should take a simple biology lesson from the movie Kindergarten Cop.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, it really is that simple.